and welcome to Prime Property, your weekly real estate reckoner. I'm Nayan Rai. New Delhi is set to get bigger and taller, with the Union Urban Development Ministry notifying a land pooling policy that has been pending approval since 2013. The decks have been cleared for private landowners to work with the state government to build 25 lakh new homes. The national capital finally has a new land pooling policy, and one that has the potential to unlock around 20,000 to 25,000 hectares. The state-owned Delhi Development Authority has not been able to acquire any land for over a decade and is relying heavily on the new land pooling scheme to house Delhi's burgeoning population. It will recognize a landowner or a consortium of owners as a development entity provided the minimum size is 2 hectares. And in the process bypass an unwieldy Land Acquisition Act involving stringent social assessment studies and computing a compensation that is 4 times the market price.
They're talking about a 2-month span from here on to be able to implement this. I would reckon that it may take slightly longer than that, but finally when it takes place, I think it's going to be a fantastic move. This is the first time that the DDA has come up with the public-private partnership proposal. And the external development they have retained with themselves. They're talking about a very transparent process of returnable land. So if all of this takes place in the manner they're speaking, I think it's going to be excellent for the housing industry.
What we're going to see is this policy gets rolled out the way it is envisaged right now. You're going to see a situation where you're going to see a lot of projects come up within the city boundaries. And that's definitely going to have an impact on at least cooling off, of the prices. Prices have already, to a large extent, they've actually cooled off in the last 6 months to a year, primarily because of slowdown. So that's one factor. But otherwise, if you realize that opening up of a larger inventory within the city is definitely not only going to enthuse people to come in and buy within the city, but also going to help, just kind of rationalize prices a little bit.
Here are the details of the policy. If the land pooled is above 20 hectares, the DDA will build infrastructure and public facilities on 40% of the land and return 60% of the original land size to the owners in lieu of monetary compensation. 52% of the original size will be returned if the land pooled is between 2 and 20 hectares. The owners can build houses and offices on the alternative plots of land that will be allotted by a computerized system and what the DDA is calling on a first-come, first basis.
The policy is talking about people who want to come in as a group and aggregate land. It could be one individual, it could be farmers themselves. For farmers, they're saying that if they don't have the money to pay for external development, then they can give an additional percentage of the land back to DDA. So principally, DDA is, their role in the entire scheme of things is only that of facilitation. So they will not participate if there is a group of 10 people who've got together and picked up a, parcel of land. They're saying that how you divide amongst yourself is really going to be your outlook. What we will do for you is basis, the way the applications come in, we would, return the land to you on first-come, first basis. Now, here I feel there's a bit of a discrepancy because this first-come, first basis is something that's not really clearly understandable.
This is primarily, people coming in and giving their own land, which they own themselves, to the DDA, so the DDA can do the associated infrastructure development and retain a portion of it and then give it back to the person. So, in effect, you are giving me my land back with the infrastructure in place, so I can use it the way I want to use it, right? So to that extent, I would want preference first if I am, the first person entering into the policy and coming to them with my land. I would expect that I be given first preference to be allotted alternate land within that pooled area. I don't know, that is something that they probably would have decided. I think there might be issues with respect to locations and all. But I think that is also covered to a large extent within the policy when they say that they will give you alternate land within a radius of 3 kilometers to your existing land. So to that extent, even if it's first come first serve or whatever, you will still have a fairly even-handed distribution of land within that area.
The policy also calls for increasing the ground coverage from the current 33% to 40%, which is a FAR of 4, and basically means the landowners will be able to build taller high-rises. The policy also discourages luxury and premium housing by coming out with stringent density norms.
If you see, the amendments clearly states that the entire FAR has to be utilized. So if I have the FAR of 4, and which will obviously lead to a certain density, now I as a developer cannot go out and lower the density to create premium homes.
As and when this policy gets rolled out, we're going to see, developers start launching their projects. Now those price points will be very interesting. What's important to see is that most of the area that's going to open up is going to be on the city boundaries, north and northwest Delhi, and a little bit of South Delhi as well. But primarily north and northwest Delhi are going to definitely give a lot of competition in terms of the prices as well to the suburbs. So you might see a prolonged price stagnancy phase or single digit appreciation only going forward.
So what does all of this mean for prices in Delhi and its suburbs like Noida and Gurgaon?
This is not going to have any impact, more so also because the supply in Delhi is in established locations, it's at a certain price point, and it caters to a certain segment. So that will remain unchanged. When we talk about Noida and Gurgaon, Gurgaon also principally is more premium segment, again catering to an audience who's living and who's working out of Gurgaon and hence living within Gurgaon. Similarly, Noida, if you see, the supply is pretty much mid-end to premium. So I again don't think it's going to have any impact on pricing on these two micro markets.
What's going to be most important is at what price points these apartments are pegged at. As and when they are launched, these are going to be done by private entities, and they have been given a free hand by the DDA in terms of what prices they want to sell at. They've said that it's going to be as per market prices. Now, but considering the huge quantum of inventory that we are going to see opening up within the city, it will definitely have an impact on the suburban towns as well.
This supply will pan out over a period of time. So we are not talking about this entire supply coming in the next 2 to 3 years. We are really talking about 5 to 7 years from now, which means that the current supply which we see in these two micro markets definitely will get absorbed. Then we have to look at locations which are further peripheral locations like the likes of Manesar and your Yamuna Expressway and so on and so forth. Now those areas may get impacted because those are still futuristic, those are really not backed by proper infrastructure. But if you ask me about the established corridors within these two micro markets, then I would continue to maintain that there will be no adverse price impact.
The DDA will charge EDC or external development charge of 2 crore rupees an acre for building infrastructure and public facilities, and says those that can't afford this can give up a larger portion of the land to the DDA. And for the first time ever, the DDA is promising to pay penalty in case it doesn't stick to approval timelines. 2% of the EDC for the first 2 years and 3% annually thereafter.
It's a two-way street. Approvals have to be given on time. The associated infrastructure has to be completed within the time that the project gets completed. In turn, the developing entity or the people who are going to develop the project also have a timeline of 7 years to deliver the project. So penalties are applicable on both parties.
And to ensure housing for all, 15% of the houses built will have to be reserved for the economically weaker sections, and 50% of such units will have to be handed over to the DDA. Time will only tell if the DDA is able to pull off this ambitious land pooling scheme and if it can act as a model for other state authorities.